A raw diet change. My family is mostly from the west coast of Britain and Scandinavia. I take after my father, and for most of my life I'm 6 feet tall and about 120 pounds with very small bones and muscle body. My mother and sister are also tall, but with more muscle. My son takes after me, 6'8" and 2 meters tall and about 175 pounds. When Mad Cow hit the news, my husband wanted to go vegan. It took me 2 months to get off the dairy, and fearing to lose weight, I drank rice protein drinks, which made me vomit. He finally admitted that I could not be vegan, so I started eating some fish and eggs and chicken. By the time I was 40, I could no longer go upstairs and my knees were so bad. But worse, I had horrible acid reflux from years of drinking coffee. The reflux diet was bland food like oatmeal, brown rice, and potatoes. I tried many things and I just got worse. I did not have low stomach acid that causes most reflux, but very high stomach acid that eventually gave my father esophageal cancer. I was desperate to try anything, and my neighbor, the herbalist Brigitte Mars, had so much success going raw that I got her book to try her diet. I was an avid gardener and already loved vegetables and fruits, so I thought it would be easy. The benefits of raw. Brigitte Mars talks quite a bit about enzymes and detox reactions and filled her book with a lot of substitutions like raw pizza. I kept having trouble with the diet, and soon Brigitte was also out of ideas. But then I started doing food substitutions and tracking food and discovered my problem. I had inherited a wide range of food allergies. The raw diet had detoxed my system to the point where I could see these allergies. Brigitte's book is probably the best book on the raw diet. I cannot recommend it highly enough. With her background in herbalism, she has more knowledge than the average cook. I was allergic to all dairy. It gave me asthma and was responsible for most of my childhood ills. More than that, it was responsible for chronic constipation that killed my grandmother, and the cow hormones made me suicidal. I am also allergic to the entire grain family. Corn and rice were the worst. Even chickens fed on corn irritated my joints if I ate their meat or eggs. I was allergic to all sweeteners, and sugar was like eating death for me, causing hyperglycemia and swollen joints. But I also have trouble with honey, apple cider vinegar, and most of the mint family, and any alcohol made my stomach acid much worse. But the big surprise was my allergy to citrus. I was an orange juice fan and later discovered that this can cause colic in infants. Citrus made my respiratory system full of mucus, although it helped with the acid reflux. But the biggest surprise was my allergy to coconut, an allergy so rare that most people don't even consider it. I had always eaten coconut as part of my high-fat diet. I also noticed that everything in the tomato family irritated the joints, and most beans also caused inflammation. Brigitte liked bananas and dates as a way to satisfy the sweet tooth, but I found them way too inflammatory. Without going raw, I never would have figured any of this out. As it was, it took years. The mermaid diet. Since I knew my ancestors were from the North Atlantic and I was a historian, I tried to construct a diet that they would have tolerated. The one grain I can tolerate is rye. I discovered that oats and barley were brought into these areas late by the Romans, but rye is popular all over Northern Europe. I can eat peas and lentils, both of which, like rye, did not originate in the Fertile Crescent, but in the high plateaus of Turkey and Iran. I can eat any fish, but I love salmon and sardines and other fish, oily fish like mackerel. I can eat duck eggs because they do not eat corn or the other domesticated grains in chicken feed. I also eat a lot of berries. I eat wild blueberries, which are similar to the European bilberry. I grow and eat autumn olive berries, which are full of lycopene. I eat boysenberries, raspberries, blackberries, and strawberries. I eat mulberries, and I love kiwi fruit. I also eat pomegranate in season and grow my own persimmons, which are sweet but tolerable. I also eat apples to satisfy, but only after a meal where they satisfy the dessert desire but don't raise my blood sugar. Unlike most people, I enjoy salads and greens and have enjoyed growing unusual greens like mâche, miner's lettuce, purslane, sorrel, interesting lettuces, kale, chicory, amaranth, and nettles. Nettles helped me with excessive bleeding and made my fingernails and hair a lot thicker. I grow my own because all commercial varieties seem to come with grass. I also love celery, radishes, and cucumbers, which I grow. I eat an avocado every day and make my own fermented cabbage with a lot of seaweed. I eat a handful of almonds and walnuts every day and a lot of hemp seed. Hemp seed is the only seed with a perfect ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 and has a complete amino acid profile. It is nutty and extremely easy to prepare. How do I eat? I eat fermented vegetables, not kraut, which I find too salty, but a mix of cabbage, radishes, fennel, and spices that sits for 3 days in a brine. If the veggies stay covered in brine, they will keep about a month in the fridge. I eat them with berries or on a salad. I eat a large chopped salad every day with vegetables, hemp nuts or sardines, and fruits like kiwi for a sour note with the olive oil. I only use oil that is cold-pressed extra virgin. I have an Excalibur dehydrator in which I make crackers, dry herbs and fruits, and make cookies or dried vegetables like beet strips. I shred a lot of vegetables not only for drying, but for rice or grain substitutes. Celeriac shreds well and is dry enough for sushi rolls, and jicama makes a juicier substrate for sauces or pestos. Crackers and pestos. There are many recipes for crackers, but the thing to note is that while almonds make the tastiest crackers, most crackers tend to fall apart unless you add flaxseed to the mix. Flaxseed, when soaked, is very glutinous and will hold everything together. Brigitte makes crackers with flaxseed only, but they are a bit hard to eat. Flax will give you a lot of bulk to the stool and soothe the stomach. I mix seeds and herbs into the mixture and dehydrate it. You can cut the crackers, or better, to shape them before you dry them. Pestos can be made with any herbs. I make a dill and basil pesto, but I use a lot of parsley and nettles in the mix. Nettles lose their sting when ground, cooked, or dried. I use soaked walnuts in my pestos. If you soak the nuts overnight and pour off the water, they are not bitter and they blend and mash well with fresh garlic and a little sea salt. Blend the herbs and the walnut mix together and put on your crackers for a nice side for your meal. Get creative with crackers. Avocados make a great spread, and crackers go well with salads. Flowers and fruit salads. If you're entertaining or want to wow your kids and family, use edible flowers for fun. You must be careful and look up the flowers before you eat them. Brigitte has a list of edible flowers in her book. Many fruits have flowers, like pomegranates, cherries, apples, and dogwoods. Tulips make the best edibles. The petals are very like lettuce. I like colorful flowers, but I used to do catering and match the bride's colors with the flowers in the buffets. Here are some fun salads, mostly made of tulips or daylilies. Blue flowers are fun, and bachelor buttons are beautiful. Sometimes I match the fruits for an artistic plate. I often call them chakra salads for fun. Flowers go well with fruits, but they can liven up any dish. When you're on a diet, it's important to play and experiment, focusing on what you can eat and not on what you can't eat. I'm not big on sweets, but flowers offer an eye candy that make fruit desserts a special treat. Shredded roots for noodles. Most raw foodists love spiralizing zucchini. I find zucchini to be a bit strong tasting, but shredded roots and other vegetables like squash can give you a substrate for sauces. One of the problems is expecting the spaghetti to taste like pasta. But kids love noodles. Kelp noodles will appeal to kids, but they are not like pasta, but crunchy. You can also make things more fun with natural dye. Beets for red, turmeric for gold, and red cabbage will dye many things blue or green. Fish and vegan sushi. I love fish. Scallops are amazing raw. Some like oysters and clams. Of course, be careful in your handling of raw fish and shellfish. I've tried many fish raw, but I live near the ocean, so the fish is very fresh. Sole can be good, but white tuna is much better. Sushi works well raw. To get a root dry enough to not disintegrate the nori sheets, use celeriac or drain the shredded vegetable. It's easy to make vegan sushi using avocado or cucumber and pepper, but it's also tuna rolls with avocado and onion or salmon rolls. Get creative with your ingredients and your sauces, and don't just try to mimic other food. One of the most important things to remember in going raw is don't just try to mimic other food that you like. You won't get the same tastes. Unusual delights. One of the most fun things about food is trying new fruits and vegetables. I'm an herbalist, so I tried many edible berries. While beautyberry is delightfully purple, it has no taste. Green fennel seeds are a delicacy that lasts only about a week. Most plants that produce dry seeds are even better in the green states. Same with roots. Green ginger is just out of this world. The only winter squash worth eating raw is butternut and its relatives. It is very sweet and spicy without that mealy texture. You can eat sweet potatoes raw, but raw potatoes are vile. Go to an Asian market and try out new produce like cherimoya or lychee berries. Foraging is fun. Chinese dogwood berries are delicious, as are American fruits like persimmons. Cookies and desserts. I'm not big on cookies and desserts, preferring fruit, but many people love raw cookies made with dried fruits, nuts, cacao, and dates. You can also get many cheeses and raw milk products, as well as raw cacao and chocolate. I can't eat any sweeteners except stevia, which I grow and dry myself. Combined with sprouted rye and lentils, fruits, cinnamon, and oil, it makes a sweet and hearty breakfast. Final words. 20 years later, I still eat mostly raw food. Few raw foodists are 100% raw. I eat canned fish and cook my eggs. But the main reason I stay raw is that my health is way better than it was in my 40s. I have cured my arthritis, stomach and bowel problems, allergies, and other stress-related issues. Going raw is a way to health. Even if you don't stay there, it is a better way to start a journey in eating that is not addictive or unhealthy. If you have a bad relationship with food, like I do, raw can help with that. The important thing is to explore, not substitute. Get well, stay well, and be well.